I've got some new Rotor Sound 10-52s on this thing, so let's not piss pants about. Let's play some classic rock. Welcome to Jamie TV, thank you very much for tuning in. This is going to be a bit of a different kind of a video for me. I've been asked by Mobile Music Pro to make a classic rock melody pack. It will feature royalty-free guitar chord progressions, riffs, licks, bass parts, and you'll be able to download it and use it in your tracks as you wish. Now, I've done a lot of online session stuff, but I've never done a project quite like this, so I thought I'd stick the camera on, kind of record the process, and let's see if we can capture anything at all that might be slightly interesting. It's very important to me that this pack is as good as I can possibly make it be, but before I get stuck in and start recording the guitar and bass, the fun part, there's a certain thought process I need to go through. It occurs to me that because there's going to be an awful lot of recording to do, I should use my fastest possible workflow, which is without a doubt Cubase 3 on my iPad. But there's a problem with that because Cubase 3 cannot export mono files, and when I do a session for a studio or a producer or whoever, they expect guitar and bass to be mono files, and I feel very strongly that that's how it should be done for this project. What I could do is, when I've finished the projects in Cubase 3, I could then shift them over to Cubase 11 Pro on my desktop and then export the mono files. But if I do that, then as I'm getting my sounds in Cubase 3, whatever software I use to create the guitar sounds, I'm also going to need to have identical software on the desktop, which will mean I can't use Guitar Rig 6 because for some reason Native Instruments don't make software for iPad, which is a real shame. But anyway, I better start having a look at what software I've got and what I can use. Quick tip for guitar players: if you wanted to record some wah-wah in your song, because nothing sounds cooler than wah-wah, whether you're on desktop or iOS, if you're using a guitar amp sim, then the chances are that you probably already have some software that gives you some virtual guitar pedals, including a virtual wah pedal. The problem with those virtual wahs is if you want to operate it with your foot, then you're going to need to buy one of those like plasticky expression pedals. But the chances are, if you're a guitar player, you already have a real wah pedal, and if you don't, they cost about the same. So I just want to point out before you go ahead and make a purchase that, because for some people it might be preferable to buy an actual real wah pedal that you can use live with a real amp. But after much experimentation over the years, I can tell you that if you're using a decent guitar amp sim, then sticking a real wah pedal in front of it will sound ace. It will work, I promise you. Since I recorded the first part of this video, I upgraded my Cubase 11 Pro to Cubase 12 Pro, and it's just absolutely off the charts stunning. For me, this is the ultimate desktop digital audio workstation experience, but more on that in another video. With that said, if you're not familiar with the joys of recording music on an iOS device, you might be thinking, why would this mad hippie be wanting to start his projects on an iPad if he has this great desktop setup? Will the audio quality not suffer as a result? And the answer is no. An iPad or an iPhone can record exactly the same quality as a desktop. What will make the difference is the audio interface in use, and I'm using the iRig Pro Duo IO, the new version by Aki Multimedia, which I made a video about, link here. So there's no issues with the quality of the audio going in. You may also wonder, will it not be a bit of a pain in the arse starting a project on one platform only to shift it to another later? And the answer is no. Moving a project from Cubase 3 to the desktop to open up in Cubase is about as difficult as putting on a hat, and I also made a video about that, link here. What will be a bit of a pain in the arse for me is, as I'm recording the parts and getting my sounds in the AV3s I'm using on the iPad, any presets I save I will not be able to transfer over to the desktop, so I will have to copy all of the settings across, but that's not an end of the world issue, is it? So let's have a look at the software that I've chosen to use. To make this pack, I chose 3 guitar amps, 2 bass amps and 1 reverb, and then I made sure I had them all as AUV3s on my iPad and as plugins on my desktop. For bass guitar, I chose Black Ice Beta Gamma by Nambrini Audio, a stunning and versatile bass amp capable of delivering a wide variety of classic through to modern rock tones. I also chose Mammoth by Aurora DSP, a bass amp that has a totally different character and excels in the realms of filthy, aggressive sounds without losing punch and definition. For the main guitar parts, I chose Nambrini's MRH 159 for that classic big balls Marshall sound, and to contrast nicely with it, I found the perfect complement was Nambrini Audio's Soundmaster, which is my go-to amp for those broken up, dirty clean tones. I felt that I would also need an amp with a totally different and more modern character to bring something else to the table. For that, Rhino by Aurora DSP was perfect. It is in fact not just an amp sim, but a complete guitar solution in one package. I wanted the pack to include a variety of guitar sounds, yet at the same time I wanted it to have a consistent character. This is why I chose to limit the number of amp sims in use and chose only 1 reverb. That reverb is Spring by Eventide, because I thought a Spring reverb would have the perfect character, and of all the Spring reverb software I've tried over the years, for me this one just sounds the most realistic. Like all Eventide effects, it can be used to create some more extreme and experimental sounds, but for this pack it's all about recreating something classic. Okay, so that was my thought process, and you've had a chance to hear some of the sounds from the pack, and I've told you about the software that I'm using for guitar and bass, but I've not as yet mentioned drums. Now, I have made a drum track for every guitar and bass track for inclusion in the pack, and I made those drums with samples that I've collected over the years from various sources. I loaded the samples into Digistix 2 on my iPad and made all the drum tracks in there. In the pack, you'll get a full real audio mix of all the drum tracks. You'll also get just the kicks and snares, you'll get just the tops, you'll get the MIDI, you'll get one shots as well. For the guitars, and I also made MIDI for all of the bass parts and a MIDI version of all of the guitar parts at Vortex's request. For the guitars and bass, you'll get a clean version of each recording, and you'll also get the affected versions, and you'll get my presets. So if you have the same software as I've been using, you can fire up that software, load in my preset and then adjust it to your taste, or you can use the clean version of the recordings and use software of your choice. Okay, so I hope you're as excited about this pack as I am. I've really enjoyed doing this. I'm gonna put a list of everything that's going to be in the pack on the screen somewhere because I'm bound to have forgotten something. Alright, so until my next video, take care of yourselves, be good people, make lots of music, try not to be a twat, and don't pissy pants about. See you later.